Shalom. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekar Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I was motivated to do this particular lesson after listening to the beloved elder Apostle Gabar's video. And he said something that I want you to listen very closely to. Let's get right into it.
Remember, we sent out there as sheep, and that's another point brother went into. You know, you're not acting as a sheep when you're going out there. DTA, DTA. Man, you sounded like one of them bugged out. What do you call it? One of them bugged out. Them people with the picket signs and the activists. One of them bugged out activists, which a lot of those activists are set up by the wicked elite government. They're agent provocateurs. They're double agents. Okay. Martin Lucifer King comes to mind. He was a double agent. There's a picture of Martin Lucifer King posing with Jacob Rothschild. What the hell is that all about? Jacob Rothschild, the Rothschilds are the most sinister family on the planet Earth. You kidding me? All the wars go back to the Rothschilds. You know how much blood is on their hands?
And I appreciate the elder for being diligent in his work, because it should always spark us to study. Now, this is what the elder spoke about. Martin Lucifer, pardon me, brothers, King posing with the Rothschilds. And we see an example of that here. And let's go back to several other examples. We see this photo here as well. And it states, when you realize that the Rothschilds funded the MLK civil rights movement, you begin to get a glimpse of this whole social science experiment. Domination, power, and control is rarely gained through war. Hashtag recognize the distractions. Let's get a few more photos here to substantiate the elder's point. And as you can see, there's another photo with Martin Lucifer King, with Jacob Rothschild, and also Nelson Rockefeller, right? And these individuals control the world. Let's come out of this. But we always had double agents, and various examples of this is scattered all throughout the scriptures. Galatians chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. Let me come down to the King James Version, brothers, and it states, and that because of false brethren, unaware brought in, who came in to privily spy out our liberty, which we have in Hamashiach, that they might bring us into bondage. And I want to be clear, many of you brothers who's following those false leaders, those double agents, who's calling you to Chicago, you're going to be brought under bondage. And where else do we see this? We saw this in the time period of Maccabees as well. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. And it reads, in those days when they're out, pardon me, brothers, I'm getting excited already, man. You should get excited in the spirit, because you can see the scriptures playing out. And those of us who understand reincarnation, these very same men are back today. Let me start over from the top. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. Let me calm down in the spirit, man, because it's just exciting. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, double, triple agents, who persuaded many. Aren't those men being persuaded? These camps got different beliefs, call on different names, different breakdowns, but they're persuaded to meet there, right? Saying, let us go make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Let's look at the time when Isaiah, the prophet, was on the earth, right? Isaiah chapter 28, verse 15. And it reads, you boast, we have entered into a covenant with death. Because when you don't enter into the covenant that the Lord, when you don't maintain, you don't be steadfast in the covenant that the Lord made with us, by default, you're entering into a covenant with death, right? Start over. You boast, we have entered into a covenant with death. With the realm of the dead, we have made an agreement. When an overwhelming scourge sweeps us by, it cannot touch us. For we have made a lie our refuge, and falsehood our hiding place. It's a lie, and it's deceptive to go down there for round two. But nevertheless, where do we see double agent activity even when the time of Yahweh Shai walked the earth? Remember, in the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 47 and 48, and it reads, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, remember the scriptures say, false brothers crept in unaware. Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs. What are they going to Chicago to do? We know Sakari is known for bringing artillery to camp, right? You mean to tell, I can, brothers, this is just me speaking as a man, I can assure you them guys are going to have artillery on them, or some form of swords and or clubs. Let me start over, brothers. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Who called this meeting? Chief Ephraim, right? Let's continue. Now the betrayer had a signal with him. Pardon me, brothers. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with him. The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him. Let's go from there, right? Pardon me. Excuse me, brothers. Remember, this is what Peter said in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 and 9. This is why we, as the hopefully elect, got to operate with wisdom. Look at the advice Peter gave us. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour, whom resist steadfast in your faith. See, we're men of faith. We're not cowards. We're not wimps. We know this is a spiritual war, right? Knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. And Peter can give you that example firsthand, because remember, the spiritual demon Satan jumped on him, just like the spiritual demon Satan jumped on Judas, right? To lead them astray. Remember what happened in the book of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 23. Yahushua turned and said to Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan." And Satan has entered into these men, who's calling them to Chicago for their own slaughter. You are a stumbling block to me. These men are stumbling blocks. But those of us, remember, the scriptures say the elect shall never be deceived. Let me start over, brothers. I just get excited in the spirit. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of Yahweh, but merely human concerns. But those of us who are of the elect, this is how we're operating, right? We're not going to Chicago. We're not booking any round trips, round flights through spirit. No Greyhound tickets, nothing, man. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 15. But if an unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Yahweh has called us to peace. You may say this is dealing with marriage. Aren't we married to Yahushua through pardon me, brothers. Aren't we married to Yahweh through Yahushua, right? Aren't we waiting for the marriage supper of the Lamb? The Lord has called us to peace. Like he tells us, seek peace with all men and pursue it. Hopefully, brothers, this quick lesson has been edifying, because there are double agents among us. Shalom.